Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 250. Wow, who would have thunk basically I got this far with this one? I'm not all that surprised because last episode was 249, so this one's obviously 250. Overall, the reaches number, I believe this is if I remember correctly, I believe this is the fourth series I've ever done where it reaches this high. Because I don't think about my novel and movie reviews even reach this high. Those didn't reach even 200. I think one was about 200, 100 episodes, one was a little over 100. Now you might be thinking, okay, what was the first series to 250? My Comic Corner, obviously. What was the second? I'd probably say it's either, and this is my personal guess, I think it was Baruto. That was second one ever. That was the second ever one to reach that far. Third one was One Piece, and now this series, which I'm very happy this series has reached 50. Now in these episodes for Fiveman, we're discussing episodes 20 to 31. We have over the course of basically episodes 20 to 31, we have a lot of first. 29 has a final appearance something, and 31 it basically has a character absent and a clue to something that basically kind of leads towards step to the finale for the series. You're thinking, okay, so what exactly happens in these episodes? Well, in the case 28, we have the debut of First Captain Cavalier. Yes, this is a character who would appear pretty frequently throughout the rest of the series at this point in time. Yeah, in episode 28, which basically when I watched the episode, I had 20 more left to go. Yeah. And here's the thing, he's actually absent from episode 31. He's not there at all. Nope. Well, there's kind of a reason, which I'll get to that. So, he's revealed to be the first captain of the Cavalier, which Captain Gore doesn't like it very much. Not because of his position or his history, it's his personality he doesn't like. Yeah, they're very jealous of each other. He's jealous of him basically because he's popular with the ladies. Heck, there's a joke in one of the episodes where you'll never land a lady like with a face like that. Yes. So Cavalier, he shows up. So he reveals that he was in fact the first captain to develop the ship that the zone uses. And after his first galactic conquest, he was given reward. He was able to return home to his own planet, live a life of luxury, and after a while, he got bored. Now, the issue show he has like women around him, so he got bored from living a life of luxury because he may miss to go out in the cosmos maybe. I'm glad they didn't show him where he kills women down Earth because he's bored, which in my opinion makes him a good. That's a good trait of his. He doesn't necessarily attack women per se. Yeah, he's also quite young. He's younger than Captain Gora. And he left the planet to become a galactic singer. And his singing is actually really good. Despite the fact it hypnotizes people to dance like crazy, his plans make people sing to death. So we have basically the first time in episode 28, first time since episode number... Oh, what was his last episode that's happening? This was in... Here we go. Where it has basically the larger beast, Gorlin, where it's absent for the first time since episode 20. Oh, and by the way, it's actually there for episode 29 and 37. Yeah, so pretty much for the next 9 episodes there. If you're really curious how many episodes to go for a large beast Gorin, let's see, there's 9 plus 4, that's 13. About 14 more episodes, basically, for that one. Mm-hmm. Yep, and his monster is a cockroach monster. It's basically kind of like a cockroach. It reminds me of basically the ant Capone from Kamen Rider. That's what this monster reminds me of. Now, the whole thing of having like another general come in at this point of the series, at least it's not as early as what happened with Gogo 5, where it happened about 15 episodes in and they kill off 2 new characters. This is about halfway point, which happened also the very same series as well, where they use a brand new character. You're thinking, okay, this happened. Well, this technically happened to Ranger. Not necessarily per se. Is most of my characters killed off at this point in time, not basically just brand new characters. This has happened a few times over the course of Super Sentai history. In the case of, let's say, Go Ranger, this mostly at this point, when we get to this point, like, I would probably say the first series where they did this, where they introduced a brand new villain at about the halfway point. Well, this has happened very rarely, and this happened with Masked Man. Yes, that was the last time I can think of this has happened. Because, what about Live Man? No, nothing I can think of. Live Man basically added new villains like crazy until they get to the last, 9 episodes where they have to kill them all off. So I'd say this is the first one since Masked Man did this. But it doesn't happen very often. We have, a brand new character introduced. A few times it's, very quarter way in, and then they introduce a new villain. But it's not necessarily, a new Ranger, per se. No, not necessarily. So, this is a very common Super Sentai trope, basically, and use a new villain about halfway through, so this is nothing new. What does happen over the course of the next few episodes, that is something far from their series, which I'll get to that. So, to beat the monster, very usually, no combo this time, so they beat it by having Star Robo basically go back to Star Cruiser because it's damaged, and then basically beat the monster that way. Okay, interesting, I like that. But I think, okay, what about episode 29, you might ask? Well, 29 introduces 2 new things. Number 1, basically, it borrows a concept from a completely different series. Actually, from a completely different franchise, mostly. You're probably thinking, what franchise is borrowed from? Okay, so the plot of this one is that we have Captain Cavalier's got himself a monster, and we also have Gore have monsters, 2 monsters in the same episode, and they're fighting the Rangers. Of course, they disagree with each other. Now you're probably thinking, is this a trope from Super Sentai to basically have 2 brand new monsters just kind of the way work together in the same episode? As far as I can tell, this, I think, will happen with me. I'm trying to remember. I don't think this has happened before in Super Sentai. This is something that's borrowed from Kamen Rider. Yes, Kamen Rider basically has done this several times, where they would basically bring a brand new monster in an episode, and then bring another monster in the same episode, and they work together when they also disagree with each other. And then they borrow something from Space Sheriff Gavin. You're thinking, what the heck? They borrow Space Sheriff Gavin? Fusion. Yep, so Gore takes the other monster that's basically Captain Cavalier's monster and fuses with his monster to form a brand new monster. Yep, and this is basically the main thing with the monsters for the rest of the series. Yep, combining 2 monsters. This would be the first and only time this machine is ever seen used in the series, because basically the rest of the time it kind of happens, it happens off screen. Which, that's fine, because when they did Space Sheriff Gavin, they did this several times, where they basically bring in the machine, introduce a new monster, and fuse it together, and this was basically a thing they did throughout the second half of that series. Now, bringing that in, that was a very interesting idea. Combining monsters. Now, the whole thing of, introducing a new type of monster halfway this series, this is something that I should point out, though, is not... Well, how should I explain this? It is mostly put a reused trope from a lot of the previous series. They would do this, where at a certain point in time, they would stop using the original concept monster, and then they use a new concept, and they use that point from the point forward. As a matter of fact, this is a concept that still uses very day. Where at the halfway point, they stop using the original stuff they're using and basically switch to something else, basically something new, and something not there for a very long period of time. So, this is nothing new. This is common, and I know that this series was basically accused of just running out of ideas. This was a common Sentai trope, so I am not going to basically blame the writer for reusing this trope, because it's a thing that still uses very day. I've seen as far back as Geki Ranger, or even Shurikenger, where about half of the series they switch out the type of monster they use for a completely different type of monster. Well, basically uses the species of monster, where you switch to like a bio version, or like basically like a new Neo version. Like this happened with Bioman, like a few of them per se, but not all of them basically has happened. But basically, it's still a trope that's happened today. Plus, we get used to a brand new Megazord, and this is something they pulled from the previous series, to Ranger, where their base becomes a Megazord. Yep. This Megazord is known as Max Magma. Yes. And we also see a thing frickin' fire. Yes. Yeah, we see a thing fire for the first time. I was shocked the fact that this thing can do this. I mean, yeah, it had cannons on it, obviously, but I did not expect the thing to fire. This was actually the first time in this whole series that the base is actually open fire. Which, okay, that's actually quite nice. Now, yes, this is a reused idea from the previous series where the base is also Megazord. And here's something interesting, though. This be something that Deca Ranger reused for their series, where their base is also Megazord. I haven't watched Deca Ranger yet, but I know this happened also in SPD, so that's why I kind of know that. But this doesn't happen very often, where the base also serves as a Megazord. Now you're probably thinking, but wait, didn't Mega Range do that? Kind of yes, because basically that was the original base for the Mega Ranger before they moved to the moon. You're thinking, okay, like, did the other series after this do that? Did it happen in Jetman? Nope, they had like they had like 2 Megazords for that one. Like, the next time this would happen, where the base also serves as a Megazord, like, I think it was Mega Ranger was the next one after this one. Yes, I think so, because, like, I don't think this happened with Kakaranger. I fully watched Kakaranger, so this has happened a few times over the years. I believe this was only like the second time I can think of this happened, where the base can also transform into a Megazord. But you're thinking, but wait, what about Fiveman, Flashman? Could their base turn a Megazord? Nope, it never did. It mostly was their spaceship. They brought it to Earth. Yes, and that part of that plot idea for their base that came from space, when they arrived on Earth, that they brought it from Flashman to Fiveman. Yep. Which, at least got handed to this one. Unlike in the case of Turbo Ranger, when they used their proper base, they introduced that halfway through that series. This one they introduced was episode 1, by transforming into a Megazord, which they also have this thing where they combine the regular Megazord, or using it in the very episode to become Megazord, in this one. Okay, that idea of having one Megazord combined into another Megazord like this, like be inside of another one, that'd be like this. This would not happen again until Go-Go 5. Yes, where you have the rescue robo combined with the trains become basically the Grand Liner, aka the Super Train Megazord in Light Rescue. So this is something that they would reuse. It's a not exactly very common reused plot thread, but it's a very cool idea. Plus, the Megazord is freaking huge. Though I think the biggest Megazord in the 90s was probably Grand Liner. And of course, beat the monsters that way. Which, okay. Then in 30, basically, we're introduced to something else. What we're introduced to episode 30? The Black Gorlin. Which does not appear again after this one. Not really, no. Then we have the Super 5 Ball introduced in this one. Aside from those two things... Oh, and 29... I almost forgot to mention this. 29 was the final appearance of the Vogel. Yeah, that was the final appearance of this thing. Yeah, it pops up for that one episode, and then it doesn't appear again after this. Now, in previous series, where the villains have their own fighters, yes, this would be something that basically they would not actually use this again. I believe they used this in Jetman. They used it in O-Ranger. You're thinking, okay, any other series you could think of where they actually have, like, where the villains have their own fighters? If that's what aside from Jetman and O-Ranger. To my knowledge, did it happen in Mega Ranger? No. I think maybe I'm trying to think of from a series I've watched. I'm thinking that next time we saw this was probably Go Kaiger. That was probably the next time we saw this. I don't know if it happened from the period of Hurricaneger to from Ghost Ager. I know it didn't happen in Gekka Ranger, Shurikanger, or Ghost Ager. It didn't happen in those series. It did happen in Go Kaiger. But if it happened in... I don't think it happened in Gekka Ranger. They probably didn't have technology to do it because basically it's all magical stuff. But in the case of series where they use fighters, it's only happened very rarely after this one. So it's not very... So it was a common thing for the 80s. But my guess is they'd probably try to move away from the fighter concept. So that's why basically we very rarely have seen it nowadays. Okay. 30, aside from using Black Gordon in finish move, nothing else. Of course, there's the whole dodgeball concept of that one. Now, 31 basically does introduce a plot thread that would basically kind of pop up now and again before part of the endgame arc. That being a revelation that there's a possibility that the Fiveman's mother is alive. Like, that we have the younger daughter, like, supposedly right into her, turns out it was actually just an illusion. And then eventually she breaks into their little mini truck they have. Now, here's the question. When was the last time we actually saw, prior to this one, where the bad guy force bar a truck? Well, that's to use like a regular Earth vehicle. Because mostly what they use their own and they just walk around. Now, you might be thinking, did this have... Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention 29. They actually had, I think it was in 29, where they actually used... Either 29 or 30, I think it was, where they go between Megazords. They have the Red Ranger used his own motorcycle between it, which I thought was a really cool idea. But, I'm trying to think what was... Oh, yes. The last time I can think of where they used Earth vehicles, I mean, the first time, obviously, was Go Ranger, obviously. Of course, they did use this for Jack. But the obvious question is, when was the last time they used Earth vehicles? Like, did they use it in Turbo Ranger? No. Live Man? No. Okay, what about Masked Man? I don't think so. Flashman? Nope. Trying to think. I don't think they use it. I think maybe like after, I think in the Fiverr J they definitely did. But I think at Fiverr J, I don't think the villains ever bother to use any Earth vehicles after that. And here we see him drive. We see him have a truck, and we get Enrique's hands on a film, which has a possible location for the mother. It's on planets unknown. They'll have an identification where it is, but it's definitely a clue. And of course, it's not brought again to episode 35. But I really enjoyed these episodes. I really did. It basically is a good step forward. Nothing really dumb about these episodes per se, but I do enjoy the fact that 28 to 30 basically is like introducing new concepts. 31 basically just not exactly a new concept, mostly, but just introduce new original plot thread, which I enjoyed this, really did. Okay, so that's going to be pretty much it particular video. I might have time for a few episodes, but it just depends. I probably hopefully get to do one more of this one time. Okay, next video. Bye.